Hey y'all, Kaylin from Coastal Carolina living here, and it is the last Friday night before the start of deer season here in South Carolina. Starting on Tuesday is our opening day for private land velvet buck season, and so we're kind of doing all those last minute things to get ourselves ready. And one thing that I have, and I'm embarrassed to show you this, but I have desperately needed to do is refletch some arrows. So I don't know if you can tell, but these are all beat up, they're peeling off. These are my predator arrows that I like to use. So we're gonna go ahead and refletch these tonight with you guys. All right, y'all, so refletching my arrows is still relatively new to me. I did one or two of my arrows last year, so I have not started to branch out outside of what I can buy at my local Bass Pro Shop or my local bow shop. I have kept it fairly similar to what I've already got. I'm still only using 3 vanes. These did come straight from the factory. I am putting a slight right helix on them when I do it, just because I like that. So we're gonna go ahead and redo these couple, and I'll kind of show you everything that I've got that I'm gonna be using today. All right, so I'm gonna start off by using the jig that I use. It's the Bitzenburger Jig, and I've got a right set up. And so I've got my jig set up here, and I've got my clamp. For vanes, I'm using just these blazers that I think everybody kind of starts off with using. So my arrows are black with green and blue on them, so I like to keep it kind of similar. So I'm going to be using white and green vanes. And then I've got my instant arrow glue. This is just something I bought right off the shelf at Bass Pro Shop. And then these are just some basic, the basic stickers. These are actually just cut vinyl, and I'm going to be using these for my wraps. So let's go ahead and remove the old vanes off of this arrow, and we can go ahead and refletch it. In order to remove the fletching, I'm just using my Leatherman here, and I'm kind of just keeping it very level with my arrow so that I do not cut into my arrow. I'm being very careful so I don't cut myself. And we're just cutting this old one off, and really you can do part of it and then tear the rest. Let's see. And then we'll go through and we'll just scrape the little bit of excess off. Alright, I don't know if you can see this, but now I have the end of my arrow all cleaned up. So we're going to go ahead and put the wrap on it and then start putting the new vanes on it. So I'm going to take my wraps, and I peel it off. I very carefully place it sticky side up on the table. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this well enough. But we're going to place it sticky side up on the table. And then I'm going to take my arrow and I line my knock up with the end of the sticker. And I keep sliding it forward, trying to keep it as straight as possible until I'm aligned with it. And then I push it down, and I just slowly wrap it. Make sure it's all stuck down well. Just slowly wrap it. until I have this all on here. Let's go ahead and get it into the jig and start putting our veins on. Okay, so when you get your Bitzenburger jig, you do have to set a couple of things up. Down here, this is where your arrow, your knock of your arrow will go in and be held. And this knob is going to adjust how it turns your arrows so that it can line up your fletches appropriately. Because I'm going to be doing 3 veins, I have it set at 120, which will be for 3 veins. 90 degrees would be for 4 veins. And then the last option is 75 times 105. And that would also be for 4 veins, but I think it's for more like a different kind of arrow. So you can adjust that. And then the next thing that you're going to adjust is these levels here. And when you can loosen and tighten these bolts, and then this whole piece will kind of curve, and that's what's going to give you that helix. So you've got your clamp here. You'll put your vein in your clamp without any glue on it or anything first, and you're going to get it lined up. It's going to be kind of hard to show you this one-handed, but let's see. Here, you want to hold the camera for a minute? So to get it set up and where you want it, you're going to take one of your veins, and you're going to figure out where, first thing you're going to figure out is where on this clamp you need to line your vein up so that it's at an appropriate height on your arrow. I know that I like mine to start at this second notch. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up with my second notch. And that is lined up pretty good for me. And then we're going to put this on the magnet. Make sure this is lined up with the bottom of our jig. And then slowly start to move this flat. And so what you're looking for, I'll see if I can get this close. It might be kind of hard to focus and see this, but you're looking for your vein to line up perfectly along your arrow without putting too much pressure in any one spot and without having any spots where you can see light getting through. So I have mine set up perfectly. I don't mess with this. If we were to do a different size diameter arrow, like say we were to do Steven's arrows, we would have to adjust it. So we try to do all of my arrows and then we can adjust it and do all of his. I have my vein in my clamp, so I'm going to go ahead in with my glue. If I had it, some people will use a primer that they first clean this with and then they also clean their arrows with, and that's just to help remove any grease or residue that could be left on the veins or on the arrow, which just helps the glue adhere better. I don't have that. I've never used it. I'm sure that it would probably work really good, but I don't have it, so we're gonna go ahead. So I like to hold the clamp kind of just snug in my hand. I like to angle it either one way, either down or up, just so that the glue kind of will drain its way down and doesn't get too clumpy in one section. So I take the tip of the glue here, and you do not have to squeeze a lot. You squeeze very little and you just very slowly run it along this here. And then once you've kind of filled it all in with glue, I just take the tip and I kind of spread it out a little bit. If you have to add a little bit more glue in one spot, that's okay. But just try spreading it out. A lot of times there's already plenty of glue on there. You don't want too little glue so that it doesn't adhere properly, but also too much glue and it also won't adhere properly. So it's a good balance of just a little bit at a time. So I've got a good amount there. We're gonna go ahead and get this on the jig. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get this vein on here. So I line the bottom up first, and then I put my magnets down and very slowly adhere it to my arrow. Make sure everything's all lined up. And then this is instant dry glue, so it just takes about 10 seconds to dry, so I'll let it sit like that for about 10 seconds. Alright, so I've got my first vein on there, so we're going to go ahead and this is where we will turn that knob until you hear and feel it click into place, and then this will perfectly align it so you can put your next vein on there. Once I have all my veins on there, if a little bit of glue kind of seeps out the side, you can just go in with the Q-tip and clean that up so that you don't have any big gobs of it anywhere. And then we're going to go through and we're going to cap the fronts and the backs with a little bit of glue. That way, as they're flying through things, if they get caught in anything, if they get caught in anything or fly through trees, bushes, branches, if we're using them for practice and they get shot into the target and they go through the target, it will help keep these veins kind of in place and prevent them from peeling back over time. Alright, so I'm just going to go through and cap them, and this is just going to be the tiniest little, tiniest little dollop of just a little bit of glue here. I do believe that they make special glue and glue applicators for this. That's a little bit more precise than this, but this will do just fine. Alright, and there we have it. A new fletched arrow. We're going to go ahead and replace this with a lighted knock. That way we can see it in the dimmer hours. Then we'll go ahead and, we've got a practice tip on here now, field tip. Go ahead and throw a broadhead on there and she'll be ready to fly on Tuesday.